My name's Annabel Berry. I'm the chief exec of an organisation called Sapphire. Sapphire are a company who are UK based, who help organisations address cybersecurity issues. So by providing a variety of different technologies, managed services and consultancy services across all areas of cybersecurity. We've been around for around 25 years now.
Excellent. It also shows that there's a lot of different areas that you're touching on pretty much in your job role, I believe, Annabel.
It is, and that's one of the things I actually love about my job now, is that I get to get involved with every single part of the business, which is the bit that really excites me about my job. So that means one day I could be very involved in the technology division, talking about emerging technologies, emerging threats. We quite often get approached by new vendors who are looking at new technologies that they're developing to help counter emerging threats as they see them further on down the road. We're looking at in people who are enhancing their technical controls and things like that. So I could be doing that one day. Another day I could be involved in the HR side of the business. Another day I could be involved in financial. So that's the thing that I love about my job now. I come from a commercial background, but I have also spent time in the technical side of the business as well. So that's given me a really good rounded view of the business, I think, and that definitely helps in my job now. But I definitely love the fact that I get to dip in and out of lots of different areas of the business, and obviously I have the overall responsibility for moving the business forward. So yes, it's exciting and challenging sometimes, but mainly exciting.
Excellent. It's always challenging and interesting in security. So I guess our audience would like to know, what is a typical day for Annabel?
Well, I think there probably isn't one typical day. And again, that's the thing that I like. So the thought for me of going and having to do the same thing, following the same format every day, doesn't really appeal to me as much. So I remember earlier on in my career when I was trying to think about the direction that I was going to go into, really what I was interested in was being able to help across the organization, to look at the much bigger picture and to look at the strategy moving forward. And of course, being in this role now means I get to do that. So I spend an awful lot of time, as most people do now, on Zoom calls. So, you know, the nature of things over the last couple of years is in and out of meetings. But, you know, and then obviously reporting functions and looking at other things. So I don't have a typical day, but mainly my day involves working with people and talking to people. And that's the bit of my job that I probably love the most, actually. So.
Excellent. So amongst everything that you do on your day-to-day basis, what is the one best thing, or what's the best part of the job that you enjoy the most?
I think it's seeing people develop. That's the bit where I get the most joy, probably, and the most energy is actually when people within the business are really forging forward in their careers, really developing. You're really seeing them really gain confidence, moving into new areas, taking on new challenges and things like that. And so that's the thing that really inspires me, keeps me going, is really seeing other people thrive and move forward in their careers. And that's the thing that I think is really important within a business, is to make sure that you keep looking at the teams of people within your organizations, make sure that they're still being developed, that they're being challenged, that they have a chance to thrive within your business, because that's good for the business ultimately. And obviously that's my main objective, is to make sure that the business can be as best as it can. So it's definitely the interaction with people, and that's the thing that I get most joy out of.
Absolutely. I think that's the bit that I enjoy as well. So your answer really resonates well with me. So thanks for sharing this. How did you actually get into the cyber industry? Did you have a degree in security? Keen to know how.
Yes, so I've my background at degree level is about as far removed from cyber as you can get. So I did a degree in English literature, which means I wrote my dissertation on Jane Austen, which I can't think of many things that kind of so far removed from cybersecurity or infosec at the time. And I wanted to be a writer or a journalist actually when I left college. And I'm one of the people who fell into the industry by accident. So I graduated, I needed to get a job quite quickly. I wanted to get a job very quickly. So within a couple of months, a friend of mine had recommended me to speak to this upcoming startup. Actually, it was back in the .com days, late 90s .com days of new startups, and there was this what was deemed to be reasonably new really at the time. Info security has been around for a really long time, but info security around internet threats, sort of back in the mid to late 90s was kind of reasonably new. So we were talking to people about firewalls and email security, and antivirus and things like that, and two-factor authentication. Actually, it often makes me laugh because I think all of these years later, we're still talking to people about the same things, about good controls, about, malware threats, about passwords. We're still talking about the same areas in many respects as we probably were all of those years ago. So I fell into it by accident. I thought it was something I would do for a short period of time, and within a couple of months, I got completely captivated by it. And I loved the fact that it was fast paced, it was fast moving. I was able to help businesses, come in and help businesses talk about what their challenges were. And that really just pulled me in. And here I am sort of 20 something years later, still in it, and I still love it. It still makes me excited, and still the opportunities there to really be able to work with organizations to help them, be the best that they can, against the threat landscape and the risks associated with their particular business, and that's the thing that's still exciting. So
that is amazing. Security is an amazing industry, by the way, and yeah, the challenges are always there. There's always new things coming up, right? So I know the listeners will be all keen to understand a little bit more on security, but if there's people listening who want to think about a security career, a cyber career, is there any particular advice, any direction that you want to guide them towards?
Well, I think now security is so vast. I think it's to basically try and look at as many different areas, get bite-sized pieces of as many different areas as you can. I think, and not to put restrictions on yourself. I think, even though you don't, if you haven't got a technical background or you're not doing a degree in computers or in cyber, that doesn't restrict you now. I think coming into the industry, we need lots of different people with lots of different skills from lots of different diverse backgrounds, because ultimately the challenges that we're facing now are really to do with people. It's people talking to people, interacting with people. That's where we tend to see the biggest threats. And so actually bringing different people with different skills in different areas and who think in different ways is really key to our success moving forward, and to be able to collaborate and share information a lot better. So I think there's so much available now online, and particularly on social media and the different groups. I think immerse yourselves in those. I think, the community actually as a whole, I think is reasonably supportive. I think, I see questions. I have lots of Twitter followers and people I follow on Twitter who are in the community. And I quite often see people asking questions about things or asking for resources. And generally people are really happy to help and point you in the right direction. So I think immerse yourself in those, but I think before you've decided which area that you want to perhaps try and specialize in, try as many as you can, because, there will be something. It's such a vast, broad area. There will be something that really, fires you up and makes you passionate. And ultimately, I think in security, it's really important to have that passion and to have that drive, because ultimately, this is it's a big area. It's a big challenging area that we're all dealing with. And actually people who have drive and momentum are the people, in my view, who often succeed. And the last thing for me, and this has come up a lot, I have a podcast that I run that interviews people in information security. And this one consistent thing comes up all of the time, which is taking a leap. So lots of people I know have at some point taken a leap when they were offered an opportunity or offered a chance to get involved in a project, and they weren't quite sure whether they were able to do it, but they went ahead and did it anyway. And that's actually been part of their success. That's certainly been part of my story in terms of my career. But I see it, time and time and again with other people I speak to. So even if there's a little bit of doubt there, I'd rather take the leap and try, and whatever happens than not to have tried at all. So I think don't let fear hold you back is my biggest tidbit of advice. So
I think that's great piece of advice. Thank you for sharing that, Annabel. Any last messages or one thing that you'd like everybody to take away from this interview? If there's anything, would you like to say something about that?
I think just lastly that I think cybersecurity community is a great community to be part of. It's a great industry to be part of. Like you said earlier, it's so exciting, it's fast paced, it's fast moving. And the opportunities now are so much greater than they were when I got into the industry. So, you know, for those people who are just starting to think about their careers or where they're going to focus in on, it's definitely an area that, you know, fires me up. And I didn't have any kind of background in technology or computing at all. So, you know, really have a look at what the opportunities are and, you know, as I say, be passionate about it, because I think that's the biggest thing that employers see really is passion and drive and dedication. So that would be my last bit of advice, really.
Thank you so much, Annabel. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing all the insights. I hope the audience find it really useful and insightful. Thank you once again.
Thanks very much for having me on.